supermodel hands a Pepsi to a police officer. Within a matter of hours, the memes flood all the social media networks. The critics evoke real photos of actual protests. The negative reaction arrives so fast that Pepsi pulls the advertisement in less than 48 hours. A well-intentioned commercial, a global brand, an accidental political minefield, an internal studio that decided that traditional oversight was optional, a celebrity whose fame became a liability, a single creative decision that rewrote forever the way that brands face controversy. All for a 2-minute commercial that cost millions to produce and barely 48 hours to destroy itself. If you like watching corporate chaos unfold in real time, hit like and subscribe. This masterclass in what not to do is just beginning. Pepsi had a problem that most companies would kill to have. They were boring. The century-old soft drink company sold billions of cans every single year. But for the millennials scrolling through Instagram, Pepsi felt like something their parents drank. Coca-Cola owned the nostalgia. The energy drinks owned the rebellion. Pepsi desperately needed a personality transplant, so they created Creators League Studio, an internal content arm designed to move at the speed of the internet. The traditional agencies take months to produce campaigns. Creators League would move in weeks, without external oversight slowing down the process, without endless approval chains, just a room full of marketers convinced they understood exactly what young people wanted. The entire operation ran under a platform called Live for Now, a name that sounds exactly like what a committee of executives would call a youth initiative after 3 hours of brainstorming and 4 whiteboards. The brief demanded everything at the same time. Millennial reach through authentic storytelling. Cinema verite-style visuals that felt spontaneous. An epic anthem with universal appeal. And most critically, a clean, emotional closing, designed specifically to go viral in social media clips. The compressed timelines created dangerous shortcuts. Fewer external consultants meant less historical perspective on the imagery they were borrowing. The accelerated internal approvals bypassed the usual reviewers of red flags. The team used protest imagery because it looked cinematic, not because they understood what it meant to those who had lived it. And at the center of the entire advertisement was an absurd premise. A single can of Pepsi diffusing the tension between protesters and police officers. The creative team truly believed this would be received as a message of unity. They saw optimism. They saw hope. They saw a shareable moment that would make Pepsi feel relevant again. What they didn't see was how it would look to everyone else. The studio had built a bomb without realizing it. The speed had replaced good judgment. The ambition to go viral had substituted cultural awareness. And they were about to hand that bomb over to one of the most famous faces on the entire planet. Kendall Jenner had 94 million followers on Instagram. For the Pepsi marketing team, that number solved all of the problems. The 21-year-old model and reality star guaranteed instant reach. A single post from her account could generate more views than a Super Bowl commercial. She was young, photogenic, and famous for being famous. Exactly the type of blank slate celebrity that brands love, because the public projects onto her whatever they want. But there was one detail that nobody in the approval chain seemed to consider. Choosing a rich and privileged model as the face of a protest movement meant that all of the advertisement's credibility now depended on whether the public would accept that substitution. A single person would carry the symbolic weight of millions of real activists. The production team built every single shot to make that substitution seem natural. They filled the background with smiling and attractive protesters, carrying blank signs. No concrete demands, no real causes, just generic symbols of peace that could mean anything to anyone. The camera lingered on Jenner's face in slow motion as she joined the crowd, with an expression carefully calibrated to convey vague inspiration. The climax took the absurdity even further. Jenner approaches a line of police officers. The tension rises. Then she hands one of them a can of Pepsi. He drinks it. The crowd applauds. Problem solved. In 2 minutes of footage, the creative team had reduced complex social movements to a costume party. Real protesters risk arrests, injuries, and something worse. This advertisement suggested the solution was always just a cold drink and a pretty face. The entire premise depended on a single bet. Every viewer would accept that a supermodel could represent an authentic protest. Or they wouldn't. There was no middle ground, no room for partial acceptance, and the internet was about to deliver its verdict with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. The advertisement was published on April 4th, 2017. By the dawn of the next day, Pepsi was already trending for all the wrong reasons. The first reactions ranged from confusion to hostility. The viewers were uploading screenshots asking exactly why the protesters were marching. The comedy accounts began remixing the video. But the real damage arrived when the criticism found its visual proof. Someone posted a side-by-side comparison. And that's when the backlash found its weapon. On one side, Kendall Jenner in designer clothes handing a Pepsi to a smiling police officer, while a diverse crowd of models applauded behind her. On the other side, Ieshia Evans, a black nurse from Pennsylvania, standing calmly in a flowing dress, while 2 riot police officers in full tactical gear advanced toward her during a 2016 protest in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The photograph of Evans had become iconic for its calm, its dignity, and the raw power imbalance it displayed. A real woman, facing real consequences for a real cause. The Pepsi advertisement suddenly looked like a grotesque parody. The comparisons spread across Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook within hours. The mockery sharpened into moral accusation. The critics argued that Pepsi had not just created an insensitive commercial. They had actively stolen the visual language of black protest and stripped it of all meaning. Influential voices joined en masse. Journalists wrote opinion pieces. Activists posted threads. Bernice King, the daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., tweeted the comparison with text that hit directly. If only Daddy had known about the power of Pepsi. By the end of the first day, the advertisement was no longer a marketing experiment. It was evidence. Every shot became proof that a major corporation had treated decades of civil rights struggle as borrowed aesthetics. A vibe to capture. A trend to exploit. The memes kept multiplying. The parody edits kept appearing. And inside Pepsi headquarters, the executives were starting to realize they had approximately 0 good options remaining. 24 hours. That's how long Pepsi lasted before raising the white flag. On April 5, 2017, the company published a statement on Twitter, on their website, and on every public relations channel at their disposal. The message was brief and carefully worded by lawyers. We clearly missed the mark, and we apologize. We did not intend to make light of any serious issue. We are pulling the content and halting any further rollout. Then came a phrase that raised eyebrows across the marketing world. We also apologize for putting Kendall Jenner in this position. The apology directed first to their talent before the affected communities said everything that needed to be known about where Pepsi's priorities really were. Protect the celebrity relationship first. Acknowledge the cultural harm later. Hope that everyone moves on by next week. The speed of the pullback was truly remarkable. Global brands don't cancel multi-million-dollar campaigns overnight. There are contracts to review, media buys to cancel, legal teams to consult. Someone at Pepsi watched the trajectory of the negative reaction and decided that every hour the ad remained online made things exponentially worse. They were probably right, but the speed created its own problems. The quick removal couldn't erase the screenshots already circulating across all the platforms. The memes had taken on a life of their own. Bernice King's tweet wasn't going to disappear. By pulling the ad so quickly, Pepsi accidentally confirmed that even they knew they had done something indefensible. And the apology itself left key questions unanswered. Who approved this concept? How did it survive internal review? What changes would prevent the next disaster? The statement offered regret without accountability, withdrawal without explanation. The critics noticed. The corporate retreat stopped the bleeding, but did nothing to rebuild the trust. Pepsi executed a textbook crisis response. Acknowledge, apologize, pull, and still managed to look like they were fleeing from their own disaster. The advertisement had disappeared from the official channels, but the bill was just starting to arrive. How much does a 24-hour mistake really cost? The industry analysts started doing the math almost immediately. According to reports, the production had been shot in Thailand, with a full crew, professional extras, and enough equipment for a short film. Conservative estimates placed the production and pullback costs between $2 and $5 million. The talent fees for a model at Jenner's level typically range between $400,000 and $1 million for a single campaign. That's a lot of money, but it's also money that Pepsi could absorb without blinking. The company generates billions in revenue every quarter. A few million wasted on production barely registers on the balance sheet. The real damage was harder to calculate. Every hour of executive time dedicated to the crisis management was an hour not dedicated to the real business. The legal teams reviewed every aspect of the campaign looking for liabilities. The public relations consultants charged premium rates for the damage control. Agency relationships that had taken years to build suddenly required uncomfortable conversations about oversight and accountability. Kendall Jenner's reputation took a hit that she spent years trying to repair. In a later episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, she broke into tears when talking about the reaction, calling it the lowest point of her career. The ad that was supposed to boost her brand temporarily turned her into a symbol of privilege disconnected from reality. But the most costly consequence didn't appear on any invoice. Pepsi had generated millions of dollars in media coverage, all of it negative. The campaign, designed to make the brand feel culturally relevant, ended up turning them into a punchline, a cautionary tale with a logo attached. For years, whenever a brand considered using protest imagery or the aesthetics of social movements, someone in the room would ask, "Are we sure this isn't going to be another Pepsi?" The Monday after Pepsi pulled the ad, the marketing departments across the United States held emergency meetings, not about Pepsi specifically, but about themselves. Every creative director, every brand manager, and every CMO suddenly started wondering if they didn't have their own Kendall Jenner moment waiting in the approval chain. Campaigns that the week before seemed bold now looked potentially catastrophic. The public relations and legal teams gained veto power over campaigns they previously only reviewed for obvious risks. Any concept that touched social movements, protest imagery, or political themes now required external consultation. The brands started hiring advisors from affected communities to review ideas even before production began. The calculation about celebrities also changed. Before Pepsi, choosing a famous face was mainly a matter of reach and recognition. After, the talent selection became a risk assessment. Could this person credibly represent this message? Would their history generate uncomfortable questions? Was their fame an asset or a time bomb? Within months, the marketing conferences added the Pepsi case to their programs. The business schools wrote case studies. The public relations courses used it as their primary example of failed symbolic appropriation. An entire generation of marketing professionals learned their first lesson about cultural sensitivity thanks to a soft drink commercial that lasted 2 days. The most lasting change was cultural, not procedural. Before Pepsi, the brands treated social movements as free material, imagery that anyone could use if the lighting was good enough. After, that assumption died. The symbolism became something you had to earn, not simply capture. A canceled advertisement rewrote the playbook for an entire industry. Pepsi had good intentions, and that's what made the disaster so instructive. Good intentions don't protect you. When you borrow imagery from movements for which you haven't earned the right to representation, it's the communities that lived those struggles who decide whether your gesture feels like solidarity or like theft. And if you haven't done the necessary work to understand the difference, the internet will make sure to teach you the hard way. The real lesson isn't about approval processes or cultural consultants. It's simpler than that. If you're reaching for symbols that belong to the struggles of others, you'd better be absolutely certain that you understand what it is you're taking. Pepsi learned that lesson for $5 million. You just learned it for free. I would love to know your opinion about this case or about other marketing mistakes. What's the worst out-of-touch corporate moment that you remember seeing? Leave it in the comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if this story seemed crazy to you, the next one is even more incredible. Definitely don't miss it. Click here to watch it now.